You're watching TelecomTV from the Smart IoT London event 2016. And I'm joined now by Raphael Crouan, who is the Managing Director and founder of the IoT programme for Startup Bootcamp here in London.
Great.
Good to speak to you. Thanks for talking with TelecomTV. First of all, what is Startup Bootcamp?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Startup Bootcamp is the biggest or the most global accelerator program in the world. We have about 12 to 13 active programs around the world, and we help startup get to scaling it to market, basically.
So, where does the IoT program fit within the overall Startup Bootcamp?
Well, I joined Startup Bootcamp about 3 years ago and tried to help them define what IoT strategy we could put in place to help IoT startups. Of course, 3 years ago was a different market. Now it's evolved into something that many people understand. But we decided, because it's way too big as an industry, we had to split that across various different programs. And we indeed pivoted two existing programs, one in Amsterdam on smart city, one in Berlin on smart transportation. We had one in Barcelona as well around smart data and tech, and the one I just launched in London around connected devices, so the smart devices hardware piece of IoT.
What sort of enthusiasm are you seeing from startups and wannabe startups who are looking to get into the IoT space?
A lot of enthusiasm, for sure, because IoT startups are getting a tremendous amount of challenges to go over when it comes to getting to market. Your traditional startups in the software world already have issues when it comes to getting funded, getting the right teams in place, executing, getting the right partners. In the IoT world, it's even more complex because there is an issue with standardization of processes. There's an issue when it comes to hardware for supply chain and manufacturing. That's what we do very well at Startup Bootcamp. We're surrounding the program with key corporate partners that speak the same language, are from that same industry, people that can help them connect to their customer base. And of course, we connect them and fast track access to capital. We connect them to investors in general.
What we're finding here at the show, talking to executives and experts on the IoT sector, is that with a number of connectivity standards still around, it's very difficult choosing which route to go down. You can't put all options into one device. You've kind of got to pick your application, pick your market, and perhaps this is the reason why the IoT growth hasn't exploded maybe as much as we'd like to have seen by now. Is that the case?
No, I think it's a standard a process of evolution on the market and maturity. IoT is very much a new market still, even though it's an evolution of many different ones. M2M has evolved into IoT, which probably will evolve into something else. The protocols and the standards in all type of industries on the tech world have always been the same story. They're beginning with many different standards, and there's a global concentration that happens. Telecom had the same issue, any other standards, IT has the same issue. So I think we're going to get there. I'm working at the European Commission on the Alliance for IoT Innovation. I'm one of the funding board members, and one of the specific work group we're working on is around standardization. ETSI, who's one of the bodies to look at this, is working extremely hard to make sure that we have some set of standards we can be helping companies to go through.
Now, when we talk about IoT, and you mentioned we have looked before M2M, and we're kind of moving on terminology to IoT. IoT encompasses a lot of different sectors.
True.
Where are you seeing the interest, and where are you focusing your startups?
Yep. So the core, I'd say two sub-segment we're looking into right now. On one side, you have your consumer elements, which are really important. And of course, this was the initial wave of products that everybody has seen on the market, the wearable businesses, the smart home businesses, the Nest and others of this world, right? And we're still looking into that space. The consumer space are very interesting. There's tremendous amount of traction. There's now some real success stories out there. So, investors are starting to look into this. But we want to look at the next generations of devices, of course, because we're on the border edge of technology and innovation. So the next generation of wearables won't be called wearables, probably called ingestibles, internables, or whatever the new terms is going to be. So anything basically around the well-being without going into the very highly regulated medical market. That's one element of what we're looking at. Assisted living too is an interesting one, which is linked to this. And the connected home as a large, security, community, rather than just inside the home. So that's the consumer aspect. On the other side of the spectrum, something a little bit less sexy is industrial internet. Huge amount of traction, potential is off the chart. I was in Munich last week talking for smart industries and smart manufacturing. And Industry 4.0 in Germany is really big, and it's getting bigger as well in the rest of Europe. So we're looking into that space, smart manufacturing, smart retail as well. How can you help the customer flow on the customer floor? Sorry, on the retail space. How can you have customers getting better traction and more information, as well as smart energy, grid, electricity, sustainability. So tons of really interesting conversation having gone through the process of industry evolution that are today being disrupted by IoT, and we want to look into that space too.
Are the startups that you're seeing and helping looking to address problems in it sort of here and now, or are they looking 1-2 years down the line?
It's a very different answer depending on the segment you're looking at. Typically, we're looking at early stage companies. So IoT as a whole is an early stage market as well. So I would expect, unless we're looking at very specific consumer electronic components, I would expect those to be looking at technology that could revolutionize in the next 5 to 10 years. And the traction on the industrial side is going to be even longer. I mean, the life cycle of an industrial component, the life cycle of an industrial internet product is a lot longer. So it will take them 5 to 7 years to get to market anyway. So again, depending on whether you're looking at the consumer side or whether you're looking at the industrial side, the technology could take a lot longer to get to market.
When we look at IoT, I guess it's easy to focus on the devices, the sensors, the applications that are out there throughout the network. But what about the data that comes back? Are we seeing the same kind of innovation and thinking from startups who want to do things purely around using that data and new business models associated with that data?
Very much so. I mean, IoT in itself is not a hardware play uniquely. I mean, hardware is getting to be a commodity very quickly. Sensors are popping up everywhere. It doesn't cost anything, from China to everywhere in the rest of the world. The real value is in the proposition that comes with the device that spin off that data, and the data and the analytics behind the data. So the IoT, one of the things I was talking about in the conference this morning was about the new business model around sustainability, but also around getting better efficiency out of data analysis that you get through those sensors. You get much more data out of IoT devices than you've ever had in the past world, but you need to do something with this data. So there is definitely some new business model coming from that.
So plenty of interest from startups and plenty of interest from those financiers and those people who are backing the startups?
Definitely the goal anyway. Yes, we're working towards that. I'd say the market has evolved into a place where you finally have some venture capitalists interested in looking at early stage companies. The level of investment in Europe has grown significantly on the IoT space for the last 2 to 3 years, and I'm definitely expecting that to be growing even faster in the next few months.
Raphael, thank you very much for talking with TelecomTV.
Thank you very much for having me.